Hi, my name is Suryanarayana. I'm a core Java faculty in IARE. Today's topic is conditions in Java programming language. So, in the conditions, we'll discuss it's not only conditions, it is a control structures topic actually. In the control structures topic, we are having conditions and loops. So, for the first topic is conditions topic. So, in order to write conditions in the Java programming language, in the Java programming, where we'll write conditions is a Java program consists of 4 programming constructs. If you want to write a Java program, you will write 4 constructs in the Java program. The program is constructed with 4 constructs. One is class. We'll declare class first. Inside class, we'll declare variables. Variables will declare, we don't initialize variables by declaration. And in the class, we'll write constructor. In the constructor, we'll declare all the variables declared in the class. And after constructors, we'll implement methods. In the methods, we'll write logic. While writing the logic, we'll use the variables declared in the class. The class variables we'll use in these methods. Methods also will get some parameters. Those parameters and class variables will combinedly use in methods. And in the methods, we'll write the logic. While writing the logic in the methods, we'll apply conditions and loops. Why we need conditions and loops while implementing the method? That we'll see in the next slide. Left hand side, I've given a sample, a sample look and feel of how class looks like. A class student, flower braces opened and closed. Class always enclosed in the flower braces. And in the class, I declared 2 variables. One is int age and the other one is string name. It is student age and student name, 2 variables I declared. And this is to show you this programming construct. This is how the class declaration is. This is how the variable declaration is. This is how the variable initialization is. So, whichever method we write, the same name as class name inside class is called as a constructor. The constructor doesn't contain any return type. The class type itself is the return type. So, with the same name as class name, we'll write a constructor in class. And this constructor is taking 2 parameters. One is int age and the other one is string name. And from outside, if somebody passes student name and ages arguments into student class constructor, while creating student object student, s1 is equal to new student of, the first argument is age, for example 21 years, student name ABC. Like this, if anyone uses student class constructor while creating student object and passes 2 arguments, one int argument and one string argument, this int argument will come to int parameter. This string argument will come to string parameter. So this is how string class object is created. So as long as the string object exists, the age is 21 and student name is ABC. This will remain same. So the age, the parameter coming into the constructor, we assign to class instance variable. So this is class instance variable. This is class instance variable. And this name parameter is assigned to this class instance variable name parameter. Because class instance variable names and parameter names both are same, in order to differentiate, we used a keyword called this. This dot age means class instance variable will be referred. This dot age is equal to age we are assigning. That means the constructor parameter we are assigning to class instance variable. Similarly, this dot name, class instance variable name will be referred here, is equal to the name parameter coming to the constructor will be assigned to class instance variable. So this 21 and ABC will be assigned to class instance variables by passing the values into constructor. So student object is created using constructor. There is a purpose of constructor. We'll discuss constructors later in the object-oriented programming topic. And the next, this is our one user-defined method. User-defined method. Method always written in a camel case convention. Display, d small letter, display student S cap letter. While writing the method starting letter should be in small letter, and every next coming word starting letter should be written in cap letter. So display student is a method. Method always must contain one parenthesis. So though method is having a parameters or not, at least empty parenthesis must be opened and closed. And this method return type is string. Methods must always contain a return type. If the method is not having any return type, at least the return type word must be mentioned. But here to the display student method, I am writing the return type is string. And method body is always enclosed in flower bases. Inside flower bases, you write logic here. So what kind of logic we can implement here? For example, name came ABC. So we want to print the output as Mr. ABC, and the next your age is 21 years. Like this, if you want to print that logic, you write here. Then here I am simply writing name and age. Actually, what you have to do is you have to write Mr. This the dot up to dot in double quotation. The next plus put. The next write name. So name, the ABC will be substituted. Again put plus symbol. In the double quotation, again you write your age is up to double quotation plus. Again you write is plus. Again you put year in double quotation. So this is how you write logic inside the method. So because here we are just concatenating some strings to the variables and we are forming one big string and we are returning it. But inside method usually we'll write conditions and loops. Those conditions and loops are employed inside the method here. So we'll see what condition is and what loop is in the next coming slides. Statements returned inside the method are generally executed from top to bottom in the order they appear. See, inside the method, if you write 10 lines of code, all the 10 lines of code will be executed line by line in the sequential order, the order in which we write the code in the method. The statements written inside our method are generally executed from top to bottom in the order that they appear. So they'll execute. Suppose if in the method, if you write 10 lines of code, all the 10 lines of code will be executed one by one. Whenever you call the method, all the 10 lines will be executed. But inside the method, if you want to execute any statement with some conditionally, so how to write conditions, that we'll see in the next coming example. Say for example, this is student, this is display student. For example, student marks are passed into the method and we want to print the grade, like A grade, A plus grade, B plus grade, B grade, C plus grade, C grade, some pass or fail, something like that we want to display. So inside the class, we'll write one method called calculate grade. In that, if student marks are passed as argument, inside the method we'll sum all the marks, English, social science, maths, Telugu, Hindi, like that. All subject marks will sum into one variable. We'll take into one variable called int. Marks is equal to, we'll sum all the integer variables, integer parameters coming into the method, and then we'll check the condition. If the marks are between 100 to 90, 100 to 91, A plus grade, 91 to A grade, something like that. So we want to write conditions. If the condition is satisfied, we want to print something. Else, if one more condition is satisfied, we want to print something. Else, if one more condition is satisfied, we want to print something. Else, we want to print something. Like this, if the logic written inside the method that want to execute conditionally, only if some condition is successful, we want to execute something. If another condition is successful, we want to execute something. If another condition is successful, we want to execute something. If none of the above conditions are satisfied, if you want to execute something by default, then you can write it in else block. So like that, the logic written inside the method, inside the function or inside the method, that can be break down into various parts by employing the conditions like this here. So with the help of conditions only we can do that. So the statements written inside our method are generally executed from top to bottom in the order that they appear. Control flow statements, however, break up the flow of execution by employing decision making, that means conditions, and sometimes we'll write loops, for loop, while loop, do while loop, for each loop, like that we'll write loops. And coming to the decisions, conditions, if condition, if else condition, if else condition, nested if conditions. switch statements, ternary operations. These are all comes under decision making. For loop, for each loop, while loop, do while loop comes under loops. Branching. Coming to the branching, break, continue, return. These statements are called as branching statements. So, control flow statements are, however, break up the flow of execution by employing conditions, loops, branching statements. Enable your method to conditionally execute particular block of code, but not the entire code written inside the method. It depends on the method, how you implement the method. If you want to execute all the lines of the code written in the method, don't write any conditions or loops. So the code written in the method will be executed as well. If you want to conditionally execute, then you employ conditions. If you want to repeat the same output for many times, you employ loops. And branching statements we'll discuss later on regarding break and continue. Okay, so here I have written. This section describes about decision making statements. If else, if else, nested if, switch statement. The switch case default. These three keywords are used in the switch statements. Ternary operators. These are all used in the decision statements. And if stack, switch stack, and ternary. Coming to the loops, for loop, enhanced for loop, while loop, do while loop. These are all loop statements. And coming to the branching statements, as I said earlier, break, continue, return are used as a branching statements. So in the next coming slides, we are going to cover examples on these topics. Okay, so the same thing I have written again. Select statements allows your program to choose different paths of execution based upon the outcome of an expression or a state of a variable. As I said earlier, you sum all the marks. If the sum is between 100 to 91, print something. If 91 to 80, print something. If 81 to something, so 71 to 80, you print something. Like that, if you want to execute your method based on some state of the variable. Say the state of the variable means some, like for example, so you can apply conditions. And iteration statements enable program execution to repeat one or more statements. One or more statements, if you want to execute for many times, we'll employ iteration statements. For loop, for each loop, while loop, do while loops we'll use. And jump statements, jump statements are like break and continue. Break breaks a loop. Continue skips the current iteration of the loop. A return is a statement always used at the end of the method to return the final output of the method. So these are the transfer statements. Control transfer statements. Transfer statements. That's why they are called as transfer statements. So these are called as control structures in the programming language. Coming to the simple if condition. So simple if condition is a file name. Import java.util.star. Why I'm importing java.util.star? Because in the following code you will understand. The class name is public class simple if condition, public static void main. So this is from where the Java program execution starts. And here, instead of declaring int I is equal to 10, and instead of directly taking an integer variable and assigning some default value 10, what we want to do is we want to ask user to enter the input. Say for example, if user enters 10 or 11 or 12 or 13 or 14. So what we want to do is we want to take user input from the command line argument or from the standard input, and then we want to check whether the entered value is even number or not. So for that sake, we want to take the input from the user. How to take input from the user? We directly write int I is equal to 10 directly, the I variable value always remains as 10. And always if you check the condition to check whether it is even number or not, always output will be printed as even number. But we want to let the user to enter the input. For that sake, what we need to do is one way, the another way is we can take command line arguments. How to take command line arguments? Java simple if condition, the class name, followed by in the same command prompt wherever we are running the Java program. There if you pass arguments, these arguments are called as command line arguments. One way is we can take command line argument that we are taking. So if you pass 10, that comes to this rocks array variable. From that rocks array variable, 0th index value. And the first command line argument we are retrieving. So always input comes as a string. To convert string to int, we use integer.parseInt. This was already discussed in the data type session. So we have taken it to int variable. So one way of taking user input is from the command line argument. This is one way. So command line arguments are sometimes may not be convenient, and if you want to enter many values also, command line arguments are not convenient. The another way is taking input from the standard input. Standard input means from the keyboard. So how to do that? For that, we need to use one class called scanner class. The scanner class exists in java.util package in Java. Scanner SC is equal to new scanner of. The scanner class constructor, if you pass system.in as argument. System.in, the statement points to keyboard, standard input in Java. System.in. System is a class and in is a static variable net class. So if you write system.in as argument into scanner class, nothing but keyboard reference will be passed into scanner class reference. In the scanner class, we are having one method called, in the scanner class, we are having one method for each data type. Next byte, next short, next int, next long, next float, next double, next is for reading a string, next line to read the entire line. Next will read single word, next line will read the complete line. Similarly, next byte, next short, next int, next long, next float, next double, next char. So like that for each and every data type, one next method is there in scanner class. So we want to prompt user to please enter the integer value. How to prompt? System.out.println, please enter integer value. Then the moment you type Java simple if condition, the class name and press enter key, immediately the statement will come. Please enter integer value. Like that the prompt will come. So here you enter the value 10 or 11 or 12 or something. So this is entering from the standard input. So whatever the value you enter here, that value will be read by scanner class dot next int method. That value will come, that we are taking into in time. So here I am writing, if I divided by 2, a remainder is 0. This is called as modulus operator. This already we discussed in the modulus operations. I divided by 2, this is division. I modulus 2, percentage 2 or modulus 2. This statement means this is a remainder operator or modulus operator, a remainder operator. So 10 divided by 2. 2, how many times division into 10? 5 times. 2 5s are 10. What is the remainder? 0. Suppose if the entered value once divided, if the remainder is 0, what does it mean? It is an even value. So you print even value. Suppose if you enter 11, 2 5s are 10. 1 is the remainder. 1, because if 1 comes, the integer value is not a even value, it's an odd value. Because this program is meant for only for writing simple if condition, we are writing only if condition but not if else condition. Suppose if you write if else condition, if user enters any odd value, if the condition is not satisfied, control goes to else statement, the else statement will print the entered value is an odd value. Because it's a simple if statement program, we employed only single condition but not any else condition. In the next program, we'll see that. This is simple if else condition. Here also, we are taking input from the standard input. Please enter integer value, scanner.nextInt. Here we are checking. If I divided by 2, remainder is 0, print yes, 10 is an even value. And if you enter 10. Suppose if you enter 11 from the standard input, that comes here. The condition fails. 11 divided by 2, the remainder is 1. If condition fails, then control comes to else block. Else flower basis system.out.println yes, I is a odd value. And if you enter integer value yes, 10 is a even value, like that it will print. Suppose if you enter 11, then it will print yes, 11 is a odd value, like that it will print. And if you want to print, if one condition is satisfied, if you want to print something, if the condition is not satisfied, if you want to print something else, then you can employ if and else statement. So if you want to write multiple conditions, then you can write if, else if, else if, else if, else if, else if, else if. You can write n number of else if statements, and finally we must write one else statement at the end of the if stack. So this is another example. This is an example on if, else if, else block. So in this example, the example name is simple if, else condition.java. Class simple if, else condition. Public static void main. Int marks percentage is equal to 90. Actually, here also we must take input from the integer user, or otherwise you take 6 subject marks: English, social science, maths, Hindi, Telugu. Like the 6 subject marks you take into 6 integer variables. Int sum is equal to, you sum all the integer variables, and then like that you can do. But here I have directly taken 90. So if marks percentage, that means that 90 is less than or equal to 90 and then greater than 80. And if the marks are between 90 to 80, print first class. If less than or equal to 80 and greater than 70, then print second class. Else passes the statement. This is simple if, else condition. And two conditions we are writing. If both conditions are not satisfied, the else block will execute. This is simple if, else if, and else block. This is nested if condition. Nested if condition means writing condition inside a condition. So here we are taking input from the user. Let's say for example Java nested if condition, nested if else condition class. So here we are entering 10. 10 comes into I. If I divided by 2, remainder is 0. It is an even value. So control will enter into if block. If block. If you enter 10, if you enter 49, it is an odd value. Directly 49 is odd value will be printed. If you enter 51, 51 is odd value will be printed. If you enter 60, 60 is a even value. For 10 and 60, control will enter into if condition. So in the if block we are writing yes, the 10 is a even value or 60 is a even value that we are printing here. Printing, and also we are checking one more condition. Condition inside the main condition. Here condition is if I value is less than 50, then you print yes, I value is even value, that to the value is below 50. Suppose if you enter 10, 10 is less than 50, then this statement will be printed and this statement also will be printed. Suppose if you enter 60, 60, yes, 60 is an even value will be printed, but 60 is not less than 50, this if condition will not be executed. And based on different inputs you send into the program will decide only the main condition want to execute, or nested condition also want to execute, or else condition want to execute, not else block want to execute. So program will be determined based on these if conditions only. This is what breakups the the logic written inside the method execution by employing the conditions. And this is if condition and different data types. If condition and different data types. So in the previous example, we have written conditions only on integer. So you may be getting a doubt on how to write conditions on float or double variables, char variables, and then next other string variables. We'll see that. So here I am taking double pi is equal to 22 by 7. 22 by 7 is the pi value. So 22 by 7, I am doing division. Whenever you divide two integer variables, or two integer values, the result is always double. Though you write 10 divided by 2, output will be written as 5.0 but not 5. In any programming language, irrespective of the programming language, if you divide any two integer variables, the result will be always a floating point value but not integer value like this. So though you write 10 divided by 2, 5.0 will be written. So you are writing 22 by 7, which is a pi value. So pi value is 3.14 something. Okay. So here I am checking the condition. Double pi is equal to 22 by 7. The result will come to pi. If pi is, this is the actual pi value. So if you do this division, this much value will be produced. If pi is 3.1428571 something. If this condition is satisfied, then we are printing system dot pi is a pi value. So that this statement will be executed. This is how we do double comparison. Double comparison is same as int comparison. So coming to the next, char comparison. Char ch is equal to a. Char ch is equal to a. Character should be always enclosed in single quotations. So in Java programming language, I don't have but remaining programming languages. In Java programming language, to character we can both assign integer value and as well as a character. How we can assign to the character variable, assigning characters valid. But to the character variable, how integer value can be assigned? That means the Java programming language, whenever you assign any integer value to character variable, the entered integer value will be assumed or treated as an ASCII value. So 65 ASCII value is capital letter A. So this 65 will be treated as an ASCII value, and its corresponding ASCII character will be assigned to CH automatically. Or otherwise, you can directly assign A to CH. That also you can do. Fine. After taking the A ASCII value or A ASCII character, I'm comparing here the condition. If CH is equal to 65 or CH is equal to single quotation A, both you can write. Both are same. So if you write CH is equal to 65 or CH is equal to A, then we are printing system.out.println A ASCII value is 65. A ASCII value is 65, that's why that statement will be printed. And the character comparison, double comparison and integer comparison all are same. We are using equal to operator. Equal to is what type of operator? It is a relational operator. Equal to, not equal to, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. So these are all called as relational operations. And two identifiers, two variables, two values or two operands, this relational operator will compare. And condition relational operator will do relation between two variables or two values will be checked. So equal is a relational operator. So for int, double, char, even including for the boolean also, the comparison always employs equal to operator. In the next coming, this one, this is a continuation of the same program. This is a continuation of the same program because here we started main method. This is one condition. This is another condition. These two condition programs are completed. This is a continuation of the same program. So here in the same program, I declared one more variable called string str is equal to Surya. In Java, the one and only one class object can be created without using new operator and without using constructor, that is string. To string, directly we can assign value to variable string str is equal to Surya without using any constructor, or usually if you want to create any object of any class, for example A is equal to new AF, like this we must write. And the class object reference is equal to new operator class constructor. This is the syntax of creating object of any class in Java programming language. But except to the string, to string directly, string value is assigned to string object reference or string variable. String object will be automatically created. This result is only given for the strings, for the convenience of the programming. Okay, right. So string str is equal to Surya. If str string, see, remember, in Java only primitive members. What are primitive members? Byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. 8. All these 8 primitive data type variables or values or identifiers, whatever you call, only primitive members can be compared with equal to operator, but not non-primitive data type variables. Non-primitive data variables means class object references and arrays. Arrays and class objects cannot be compared with equal to operator. We should not. Array, we are not discussing here. Array comparisons we will discuss in the later sessions. String is a class. If you create string object, two string objects, if you want to compare, we should not use equal to operator. String cannot be compared with equal to operator at all. If you want to compare any two objects of a class, we must use one method called equals. Equals is a common method in all the Java classes. Equals is a method common in all the Java classes. So if str dot equals method I am calling, under the bracket I kept a double quotation Surya as monitor. Here S is capital. So the equals method will check the str value and this value exactly with the same case. If cases are not same, condition will not be satisfied. So here S is a capital letter S, here S is a small letter S. So the condition fails. So this statement will be printed, this statement will be printed. Str is a lowercase Surya, this is not printed. Str is not a lowercase Surya. Str is not a lowercase Surya, I'm sorry, S should be written capital. Str is not a lowercase Surya, S capital should be printed. And the equals method will exactly compare two strings exactly with their cases also. Not only string should be same, their cases also must be same. Then only the equals method will return true. if you want to compare only the value but not their case, there is one more method given. This method is only available in the string class but not in all the Java classes, remember. So in string class there is one more method given called equals ignore case. In the equals ignore case, if you write Surya small term and here string str Surya is S capital. If you use equals ignore case method to compare this str with small letter Surya, this statement will return true. Because equals ignore case will check only the values but not the cases. Then output will be printed as equals ignore case compares values of the value irrespective of its case. And this is available only in string but not in other classes. In other classes only equals method is available. So here here I've written some important points. Note, equal to operator must be applied only on primitive data types. That means, once again I'm repeating, equal to operator must be applied only on primitive data types. That means byte, short, int, long, float, double, char, boolean. 8 primitive data types. We can use equal to operator only on 8 primitive data type variables or values but not on secondary data types. What are secondary data types in Java? Classes and arrays. On classes and arrays we cannot use equal to operator. Then what must be used to compare class objects? Equals method must be used. And how to compare arrays, that we'll see later. In the arrays topic we'll see that. So string is a predefined class, employee is a user defined class. Java is having thousands of classes. In my assumption, in JDK 1.8 there were around 17,000 plus classes. I guess, like sometime when I opened some WinJ, I found number of classes. But the number of classes are in thousands. Among those thousands of classes, string is one of the predefined class in Java programming language, and employee is a user defined class. If we write a class called employee becomes a user defined class. So string is a user predefined class and employee is a user defined class. These class objects can be compared only with equals method but not with equal to. Equal to operator, in interview they'll sometimes ask the question saying, is equal to operator can be used to compare objects? So the answer is equal to operator. I don't say equal to operator cannot be used to compare two objects. Equal to operator can be used, but how? Equal to operator will check only the object addresses but not their state. And if interviewer asks, can we use equal to operator between two objects? You say yes. But it doesn't compare the two objects' state, but it will compare only their addresses. But most of the times we want to compare the state but not the addresses. So we must use equals method but not equal to method. So in the next example, we'll see how equal to operator and equals method will work in the next string example. So instead, equals method must be used on objects. Equals method is a common method in all the Java. This is if conditional string. In this program, I declared three string variables. See, string str is equal to Surya in double quotations. String str1 is equal to Surya in double quotations. String str is equal to new string of Surya in double quotations. All three values are same. Str, str1, str2. All three string internal state is same. State means its internal value, its characters. The state is same. Here I am checking if str is equal to str1. Remember, in Java, if you create two string objects, in Java, if you create two string objects, string str2 is equal to new string of Surya as capital letter. You write one more statement, string str3 is equal to new string of Surya capital letter S. If you create two string objects with new operator, even though their state is same, even though their value is same, to these two separate memories will be allocated. Two separate memories will be allocated. And if you create a string object with new operator, with new operator, though these two string objects internal state is same, a separate memory will be allocated because we use new operator. But if you create two string objects by directly assigning the value, Surya in double quotations like this, if these two string objects internal state is same, if they are directly assigned, then instead of two memories, only single memory, these two object references will point to a single memory. The string is directly by assigned by assigning directly the value. If the state is same, then those both object references will point to the same memory but not to the different memory. So this memory is called as a string pool. And as many string objects are created by assigning with equal to operator, if their internal state is same, they will be stored in single memory in string pool. But whereas if string objects are created with new operator and constructor, though their internal state is same, a separate memory will be allocated. So this is the point. So I am writing condition here like this. See, if str is equal to str1, str and str1 both internal state is same, they are assigned with equal to operator. Because their internal state is same, those two object references points to same memory address. Inside that, capital S would be stored. Both points to same memory location. Hence, if you write a string str is equal to str1, the condition will become true. The statement will be printed. Str and str1 addresses are same. The statement will be printed. Second, I am writing one more condition. If str is equal to str2, str2 state is same, but their address is different. Because str is pointing to this memory, str2 is pointing to this memory. How this memory and this memory both are same? They are different, right? This memory is different, So equal to operator will compare their addresses but not their state. If you are trying to compare str with str2, because their memories are different, the if condition will fail. Else block will be printed. str and str2 addresses are not same, but their internal state is same. How to check their internal state? As I said earlier, use equals method. If str dot equals of str2, if you write, then their internal state will be compared. State means this left hand side object reference first character, capital letter S. The second argument starting letter is S. And each and every letter inside the string at their indexes will be compared. That is how str dot equals of str2, this condition is satisfied. Str and str2 state is same. If they are not same, the statement will be printed. So equals method will compare the state or nothing but the object's internal value, and equal to will compare their addresses but not their internal state. But if anybody asks, can we use equal to operator on objects? You can say yes, we can use, but that equal to operator doesn't check the state, it will check only the addresses you have to answer. So here if condition is completed. If else, nested if condition on different data types like double, char, boolean also you can write, string comparisons are also completed. Now we are coming to one more condition, that is switch statement. Switch is an alternative to if. Instead of writing if condition, you can write switch statement also. But syntactically both are different. So here what I am doing, I have written class name as switch demo, public static void main. I created one date object. Java.util.date, d is equal to new java.util.date. Date is one predefined class in Java that exists in a package name called java.util. So I created one date object. The moment you create date object internally, date, month, year, these four values will be internally stored. 19/01/2022. Like that, 19/01/2022. Like this, the value will be stored. But the moment you create date object, there is one limitation in the date object. In the date object, the date is always stored as the value from 0 to 30, but not from 1 to 31. It will internally store date as 0 to 30. That means because today's date is 19, it will internally store as 18. It won't give us 19. Similarly, month is also stored from 0 to 11, but not from 1 to 12. And because current month is January 01, but it will return 0. So always whenever you retrieve the date and month from the date object, you need to add +1. So date object dot get month +1, then one will be returned to month internally. That month variable I am passing, integer variable we are passing as argument into switch condition. In switch, we can pass only 3 data type variables. One is int, interval. Second one is char. And in the recent versions of Java, string is also allowed. Int, char, string are only allowed to pass as arguments in switch condition. We cannot pass float, we cannot pass double, we cannot pass other types. Switch month, and that variable value will come here. Here, because the value is 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5, like that, if you want to check the conditions, you need to write case. If that month is 1, case, you need to give one space, case, give one space, and then write a value. If that month is 1, then the following statement will be executed. System.out.println, current month is January. The moment the case is successful, the statement written inside the case will be executed. You can write as many lines of code as you want in one case. But at the end of the case, we must write break statement. And in the switch, whenever one case is successful and execute its logic, at the end we must always break the condition. If you don't break the condition, if you don't write break statement, if you don't break the condition, then what happens is, second case also will be checked. Second case may not be satisfied, but second case is also checked. If you don't write break here, even third case, fourth case, fifth case, default, all will be executed. So because if one condition is satisfied, if you want to come out of the switch entire block, we need to write break. Break breaks the loops and the condition and the current block. And I don't say condition or loop. Break breaks the current block. That is what. If you don't write break, following case statements will be executed. Suppose if the month is 2, this statement will not be successful. This statement, this case will be successful. Then current month is February will be printed. Again, you write break. If this condition is not satisfied, then third, fourth, fifth will be checked. If none of the above conditions are satisfied, that means if the month is above May, not January, February, March, April, May, the current month is, let us assume, some June or July or August, then the default statement will be executed. System.out.println, current month is above May. Break. In the default also we must write break. So break should always be the last statement in all the cases and default. This is about switch program. So instead of writing if condition, the other way of writing conditions is by writing switch statements. And here in the switch, we employed only int. In switch we can pass char also. The same example, the same continuation. So here I declared one char ch is equal to c. I directly send something. Char ch is equal to c. Switch ch, that means the c will be passed here. If the ch value is a, single quotation, single character a, then current month is January. If it is b, current month is February. If current month is c, if it is c, current month is March. D, April, E, May, default, current month is above May. Because the character ch variable value is c, this case will be executed. This case will be successful. Once if this case is successful, this statement will be printed. Current month is March. Break the condition. And we saw how to write switch statements on character and integer values. We can also of course write on strings as well, but not on double. double-end float. And one more construct used in the one more control structure used in the conditions is next to if and switch is ternary operator. Ternary is an operator. Ternary is also covered in conditions also. How ternary operator is? Ternary operator syntax, as we already know, it consists of two operators, question mark and column symbol. What is its syntax? Write condition. If the condition is satisfied, question mark, return left hand side value. If the condition is not satisfied, return right hand side value to output. Condition in bracket, question mark. If condition is satisfied, return left hand side value, otherwise return right hand side value. This is the syntax of ternary operator. The ternary operator example we are doing here. Ternary demo.java, class declaration, main method, int I is equal 10. I is and I divided by 2, if remainder is 0, I is even, else I is odd. So in this if else condition, almost we have written 5 lines of code. To write one simple if else condition with one line, if you want to write a simple if else condition with single one line, we need at least write 5 lines of code. Just to print I is even or I is odd, you need to write 5 lines of code. Instead of writing 5 lines of code, such as simple if conditions can be written with a ternary operator. But ternary operator is having its own limitation also, that we'll discuss later. So how to write here? I modulus 2 is equal to 0. If I divided by 2 remainder is 0, write that in condition. If the condition is true, question mark, I is even value, that statement will be written here. If the condition is not satisfied, I is odd value, that statement will be written here. Finally, you print the output. Because I is 10, I is even value will be written here to the output variable. Output will be printed as I is even value. But in this ternary operator, I found one limitation. I found one and 2 limitations. The 2 limitations are, in the ternary operator, if the condition is satisfied, we need to write one statement. If the condition is not satisfied, we need to write another statement. And the ternary operator will allow you to write only one statement if the condition is true or false. We cannot write multiple statements here. But whereas in case of if-else condition, if condition is satisfied, we can not only write one line of statement, we can write 10, even 100, thousands of lines of code also. So in the if-else condition, the advantage is if condition is satisfied, we can execute tens to hundreds of lines of code. But in ternary operator, if the condition is satisfied, we can execute only one line. If the condition is not satisfied, we can execute only one single line. We cannot execute multiple lines. And that too. The another limitation of ternary operators, if condition is satisfied, the one and only one statement written inside, if the condition is satisfied, that statement should be a written value, a written statement. And we cannot write a simple system dot print kind of statements. We should return a value if the condition is satisfied. If the condition is not satisfied, we should return another value. So the ternary operator employed left hand side and right hand side values must be a return statements, but they should not be something like a system dot print. These two are the limitations of ternary operator. Only one line we can write. That too, the line should be a written statement. The line cannot be system dot or something else logic, calling some method or something like that. So those are the limitations of ternary operator. So developer must decide, whether to use a condition or a ternary operator or a switch statement based on his programming requirement. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.